I was at a dinner party last weekend, and the topic of social media came up.
It always does.
It always does, doesn't it? And there's always that one person, and maybe it's you listening right now, who looks a bit smug and says, "Oh, I'm not worried. I deleted TikTok 3 years ago."
Or I never even downloaded it.
Exactly. I'm invisible to them.
Right. It's this sort of badge of digital hygiene. You feel like you're safe because you're not playing the game.
You think you've opted out, the door is closed.
Yeah.
But that is really why we're here today. Because I read this investigation. It was just published yesterday, February 11th, 2026, by the BBC.
Right. From their tech reporter, Thomas Germain.
Yeah, and it completely dismantled that whole sense of safety for me.
That's a huge wake-up call, I think. The headline alone says it all. TikTok is tracking you. Even if you don't use the app, it's not, ambiguous.
And we're not talking about some vague general tracking like, oh, they know I live in Chicago. We are talking about specific, super sensitive data being pulled from people who have literally never had an account.
Right.
So the mission for this deep dive is to figure out how are they doing this? We have to talk about this thing called the Pixel, the business changes in January 2026 that kick this all off, and then, most importantly, how to stop it.
And I think we have to start with the how, because honestly, when I hear a headline like that, my first reaction is, skepticism.
Of course.
It sounds a bit like magic or a conspiracy until you actually look at the code.
It really does. If I don't have the app, I don't have a login, I've never liked a single video. How on earth does TikTok know I'm looking at, say, a pair of sneakers on a totally separate website?
It all comes down to this tiny, invisible piece of technology. It's called a tracking pixel.
Okay, let's unpack this. When you say pixel, I'm just thinking of the little dots on my TV screen.
And that's literally what it is. It's a one-by-one image, so small it's completely invisible to the naked eye.
Okay.
But it's not there to be seen. It's there to see you. It's a piece of code that a website owner embeds, and it loads in the background the second you arrive on their page.
So I land on a website. Let's use the sneaker example. And this invisible dot just loads up. What's it doing? Just counting me as a visitor.
It's doing a lot more than just counting. The BBC report used a really good analogy here.
The shoe store one?
Yeah, the shoe store. So imagine you're the owner of that online sneaker store. You spend a bunch of money running ads on TikTok because, that's where the young buyers are.
Sure.
But you've got a blind spot. You have no idea if those ads are actually working.
Right. I can see clicks on the ad, but I don't know if anyone actually bought the shoes.
Precisely. So TikTok comes to you and says, hey, put our pixel on your website. It's free. Now, when a user clicks an ad on TikTok and then buys those sneakers, the Pixel Fires, it sends a little signal back to TikTok that says, success. User 1203 just bought the Jordans.
Okay, from a business side, that makes complete sense. I need to know my return on investment. It's an attribution tool if I'm that store owner. I love this.
It starts as an attribution tool. But here's the catch, and this is what the investigation really gets into, that Pixel isn't just sitting there waiting for a sale to happen. It's active all the time. It's watching every single person who lands on that site, no matter how they got there.
I've never used TikTok in my life, but my brother texts me a link to the sneaker site. The Pixel still sees me.
It sees you. It logs your IP address, your device, your location, and it logs exactly what products you're looking at. Then it packages all that up and sends it right back to TikTok servers.
To do what? Build what? A shadow profile of me?
To build a shadow profile. Exactly.
And come on, this has to be rare, right? Are we talking about a few, sketchy e-commerce sites?
I wish. The scale is actually massive. The BBC report, it pulled data from the privacy company DuckDuckGo.
Okay.
And they found that TikTok trackers are now on about 5% of the world's top websites.
5%. Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second. 5% doesn't sound like, world domination.
In isolation, maybe not. But you have to look at the trend. It's growing incredibly fast. And you have to put it in context.
Right.
Google has trackers on nearly 72% of top sites. Meta Facebook is on about 21%. TikTok is just copying their homework. It's the verbatim playbook.
So give websites free tools, and in exchange, you get to map everyone's behavior across the entire internet.
That's the game. And what makes this BBC investigation so extremely invasive And that's a direct quote from Patrick Jackson, the CTO of the security firm Disconnect.
Extremely invasive.
And what they're tracking. It's not just user looked at some sneakers.
This was the part of the article where my jaw actually hit the floor because the reporter and the security expert, they didn't just look at the code. They watched the data leaving the browser in real time.
Yeah, and it wasn't just commercial data. It got much, much darker.
Okay, walk us through the examples they found, because I think people listening need to hear the specifics to really understand the violation here.
So Jermaine, the reporter, he tested this on several sites. The first one was a cancer support network.
Oh, wow.
He went to the site, he found a form, and he clicked a button that identified him as a cancer patient or survivor.
that is incredibly private medical information. That is something you tell your doctor, not a social media company.
The moment he clicked that button, the TikTok pixel fired. It grabbed that status, cancer survivor, and it paired it with his email address and sent both straight to TikTok.
And just to be crystal clear, he wasn't logged into TikTok, right? He didn't have an account.
No account, no login, just a person on a website looking for help.
That feels illegal. But okay, keep going. What else did they find?
He went to a women's health company, started browsing for fertility tests.
Which implies you're trying to conceive or maybe worried about a pregnancy scare. It's deeply personal stuff.
It's highly sensitive, very emotional data, and the pixel scraped it. User interested in fertility tests. Sent.
And there was a third one?
A mental health organization. He went on the site and indicated he was looking for a crisis counselor. Yeah. I mean, just think about that for a second. You're at your absolute lowest point. You're reaching out for help. And in the background, this invisible piece of code is just saying, this person is in crisis. Let's add that to their ad profile.
It's predatory. I don't use that word lightly, but that is predatory, turning a mental health crisis into a data point for ad targeting.
It raises huge ethical questions.
Yeah.
But it also raises a technical one, which is, did these organizations, the cancer charity, the mental health group, did they know they were doing this to their visitors?
That was my first thought. Why on earth would a crisis center agree to share that kind of data? It's against everything they stand for.
And the investigation suggests they probably didn't know. And this is where the tech gets really, really sneaky.
How so?
The experts found that this updated TikTok pixel is doing something they're calling automatic interception.
Interception, like a wiretap.
Kinda. Look, most websites already send analytics data to Google. It's just standard practice to see what's popular on your site.
Sure.
The new TikTok pixel seems to just piggyback on that. It watches for the data packets being sent to Google and just said, hey, I'll take a copy of that too.
So the website owner just sets up their normal Google Analytics, and they think that's all they're doing. But the TikTok code is just lurking there, scraping the pipes.
That's the theory. It's scraping data pipelines that are already in place. Patrick Jackson from Disconnect said it happens without the site owner explicitly intending to share anything with TikTok. It's just automated data harvesting.
That is brilliant engineering if you're a spy, but it's terrifying if you're a business owner. So why now? Why did this all get so aggressive in 2026?
That's the million-dollar question. And the source material points to a very specific date.
January 22nd, 2026.
Yep, the sale.
Ah, right. The big sale. That's when TikTok's U.S. operations officially changed hands, acquired by that consortium with ties to U.S. President Donald Trump.
Right, and, we're not here to get into the politics of that deal, but the business impact was immediate.
Instant, wasn't it?
The same day. The terms of service changed. Users had to agree to new data collection. But the real engine behind all this was the launch of their new ad network.
Explain that. What's an ad network versus just showing ads in the app?
Well, before, TikTok mostly just showed you ads while you were scrolling videos on TikTok.
Right.
But to make the real money, the Google money, the Facebook money, you need to follow people everywhere else. You want to show them a TikTok ad when they're reading the news or checking the weather or looking up a recipe.
So to do that, you have to build a surveillance network across the whole web.
Exactly. To make that new ad network valuable, you need to know who people are outside of your app. You need to know they were looking for fertility tests so you can sell that ad space to a diaper company.
So that's why the Pixel got this aggressive update in early 2026. It's pure revenue expansion.
It's all about making the platform more valuable to advertisers. The pitch is, we know everything about everyone, everywhere.
Ariel Garcia from that watchdog group, check my ads, she put it perfectly, I thought. She said these tools are designed to make the inventory, the ad space, higher value.
Right. If you can promise an advertiser, I can put your ad in front of a cancer survivor, that ad slot is worth a lot more money.
Okay, so that brings us to the defense. I mean, surely TikTok denies this. They can't just come out and admit to spying on patients.
Well, they lean very heavily on the industry standard defense.
Of course.
And to be fair, they're not totally wrong.
Yeah.
Google and Meta have been doing similar things for over a decade. They basically just said, why are you picking on us? Everybody does this.
Ah, the old everyone else is jumping off the bridge excuse.
Pretty much. Their spokesperson said that websites are technically prohibited from sharing sensitive health data, that they have transparent guidelines, and they claim they even alert websites that are sharing bad data.
Wait, so they're blaming the websites?
They're putting the responsibility on the website owner. We give you the tool, it's up to you to use it correctly.
But hold on, if the Pixel is intercepting data automatically, the website owner might be breaking the rules without even knowing it.
And that's the trap. It creates plausible deniability. And the experts, they're not buying it. Peter Delansky from DuckDuckGo was very blunt. He just said, algorithms can use this data to exploit you.
When we say exploit, are we just talking about like annoying ads? Because I think a lot of people listening might just shrug and say, so what if I see a diaper ad? I'll just ignore it.
It goes so much deeper than that. I mean, if an algorithm knows you're in a mental health crisis or that you have a chronic illness, that's a vulnerability.
Okay, give me a worst case scenario.
Price discrimination. If they know you have a medical condition that needs a specific product, they can show you a higher price for it because they know you're desperate.
Wow.
Or political targeting, manipulating your fears based on your health. It's about using your psychology to influence your behavior.
Okay, I think I've officially reached my paranoia limit for the day. Let's pivot to solutions. The article promised some easy steps. If I'm listening to this and I just want to shut it down, what do I do?
Okay, so there are definitely steps you can take. But, they do require changing a few habits, and the biggest one is probably your web browser.
Let me guess. Stop using Chrome.
Stop using Chrome. The source says 71% of people use it, but the research shows it leaks way more information than its competitors, which, it's built by an ad company.
It makes sense. It's not in their best interest to block trackers, so what's the alternative?
If you want to stop the pixel, you need a browser that blocks it by default. The experts recommend Brave or the DuckDuckGo browser.
Because they're built for privacy from the ground up.
Exactly. You don't have to mess with settings. You just install them and they block this stuff automatically. Yeah. Firefox and Safari are better than Chrome, but Brave and DuckDuckGo are really the gold standard here.
Okay, switching browsers is a bit of a pain, but it's doable. What if I'm at work and I can't just uninstall Chrome from my company laptop?
Then you need extensions. But you have to be careful. The source warns that a lot of so-called privacy extensions are actually just trackers in disguise. They're dicey.
So what are the safe ones?
The BBC report specifically called out 3: Privacy Badger, Ghosttree, and uBlock Origin.
I use uBlock Origin. It's great for ads.
And it kills the trackers, too. Privacy Badger is also really good because it learns as you go. It sees what's following you across different websites, and it just shuts it down.
Okay, so step 1. Change your browser or get a good blocker. Step 2. What if I actually do have the TikTok app? Can I stop it from inside?
Partially. There's a setting in the app where you can clear the data that's been collected by these off-app pixels. It basically resets your ad profile.
But does it stop them from collecting more, or does it just delete the history?
It mostly just clears the history. It's kind of a Band-Aid. You have to keep doing it.
And for non-users like me, can I just email TikTok and say, delete my shadow profile?
You can request data deletion, but it's a very manual process.
Yeah.
You have to fill out forms, prove who you are.
Yeah.
They really count on you just giving up.
They always do. Okay, so if I install Brave and I use Privacy Badger, am I safe? Is the problem solved?
And this is the part of the deep dive where I have to be the bearer of bad news.
There's always a catch, isn't there?
There's always a catch. Everything we just talked about, the browsers, the extensions, that all stops what's called client-side tracking.
Okay, what does that mean in plain English?
It means it stops your computer, the client, from talking to the pixel. But there's a whole other invisible layer.
Oh, no.
It's called server-to-server sharing.
Server to server. What does that look like?
Okay, let's go back to the shoe store.
Mm-hmm.
You buy the sneakers. The store now has your email, your address, your purchase history, all on their own private server.
Right. They need that to ship me the shoes.
Correct. But what they can then do is take that whole customer list, it's basically a spreadsheet, and upload it directly to TikTok's servers.
So my browser isn't even involved.
Your browser never sees a thing. You could have the most secure, locked-down computer on the planet. It wouldn't matter. The transfer happens directly between the companies.
That feels incredibly defeating. It's a total black box.
It is. Peter Delansky says your only real defense at that point is to compartmentalize your identity.
What does that mean? Use fake names.
Different email addresses. Use a unique email for every single service. That way, when the shoe store sends your shoe buyer an email address to TikTok, TikTok has no way of matching it to your mental health and email address.
But that's a huge hassle. I mean, most people aren't going to manage 50 different email addresses. I can barely handle 2.
It's a massive hassle.
Yeah.
And that really leads to the bigger conclusion from Ariel Garcia. She basically argues that we're all just playing whack-a-mole with pixels.
This isn't just a TikTok problem.
No. It's an ecosystem problem. It's the entire business model of the internet. As long as our data is the currency we use to pay for free content, this is going to keep happening. She says the only real fix is regulation.
Laws. Actual laws that say you cannot do this.
Exactly. Until privacy regulation catches up with the technology and with these new ad networks that launch in 2026, we're all just using Band-Aids.
So let's try to wrap this up. To recap what we've learned, this BBC investigation shows that TikTok's tracking got way more aggressive this year, driven by that ownership change in January.
And the need for more revenue.
And they're using this pixel tech to harvest data from non-users on 5% of the world's top sites. And that data includes just incredibly sensitive things like a cancer diagnosis or someone's mental health status.
That's the core of it. And while you can and absolutely should switch to a browser like Brave to block the immediate tracking, the bigger issue is systemic. The free internet is built on this trade.
Which brings us to the end of our deep dive. And I want to leave you with a thought. We talked about industry standards today. TikTok's defense is just, well, everyone does it.
Which is the classic defense in Silicon Valley.
But just think about that. If the data that shows you are a cancer survivor or that you're seeking a crisis counselor, if that information is now considered just standard merchandise for ad targeting, have we reached a point where privacy is no longer a right?
That's the real question, isn't it? Is privacy becoming a luxury product? Something you could only have if you have the technical skills to configure a browser or the money to pay for services that don't track you?
That is a chilling thought. If you're listening, just take 5 minutes today, check your browser settings, download one of those reputable blockers. It's not a silver bullet, but it is a shield.
Absolutely. Take back a little bit of control where you can.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.
Stay safe out there.